At 11:47 p.m., the entire building went black. The refrigerator stopped humming. The hallway lights blinked once, then disappeared. Then Daniel heard the sound that made his stomach drop. A small machine beside his mother's bed began to beep, low battery. His mother opened her eyes and whispered his name, not loudly. That was what scared him. Outside the window, winter rain slammed against the glass. The elevator was dead. The stairwell was dark. The lobby was starting to flood, and his mother was on the 6th floor. For years, everyone had laughed at the way Daniel avoided hard work. Tonight, that same habit might be the only thing that saved her. People in the building did not call Daniel lazy to his face. At least, not always. They called him the shortcut guy. He was 26 years old, with tired eyes, quiet hands, and a habit of finding the easiest way through every problem. If 10 packages were left in the lobby, Daniel would not carry them one by one. He would take an old office chair, strap a plastic crate to it, and roll them all at once. If a hallway light kept going out, he would not check every floor again and again. He would tape small marks near each switch and use the security monitor downstairs to find the bad one. If the laundry room door slammed so hard it shook the wall, Daniel would not replace the whole thing. He would fix it with rubber, wire, and 5 minutes of silence. Some people thought he was clever. Most thought he was avoiding real work. One neighbor once said, "He'll do anything, as long as it means he doesn't have to sweat." Daniel heard it. He always heard it, but he had learned to smile, like it did not matter. Daniel lived with his mother, Elena, in an old apartment building on the east side of Cleveland. She had cleaned offices for almost 20 years. She left at night with a lunch bag in one hand and came home before sunrise, smelling like bleach, coffee, and cold air. Daniel used to wait for the sound of her key in the door, even as an adult. Some part of him still did. But that winter, Elena got weaker. Her cough stayed longer. Her breath got shorter. The bills grew taller on the kitchen table. Daniel tried to take more jobs around the building. He tried to work the way people respected, carry more, pipleal harder. Stop thinking, just do it. But when he forced himself to work that way, something inside him froze. His body became heavy. His mind got loud. And every task felt like proof that he was already behind. The worst part was not being tired. It was the shame, because little by little, Daniel started to believe the label. Maybe he was lazy. Maybe he was weak. Maybe he was the kind of man who always found a way out, because he was too afraid to find a way through. That night, the storm came harder than anyone expected. Wine shook the windows. Rain ran down the brick walls in silver lines. Somewhere below, water started pushing under the front doors. Then the power died. Daniel grabbed his phone and called 911. The call failed. He tried again. One bar, then none. From the hallway came the sound of doors opening, people whispering, a baby crying upstairs. Someone shouted, "The elevator's out!" Daniel looked back at his mother. The small machine beside her bed beeped again. Low battery. Elena tried to sit up, but her hand slipped on the blanket. Daniel ran to her. "I'm getting you downstairs," he said. His voice sounded stronger than he felt. At first, Daniel did what he thought a better man would do. He tried to carry her. He helped her onto his back, gripped the railing, and stepped into the dark stairwell. One step, then another. The concrete was cold beneath his shoes. Rainwater had leaked in through a broken window and made the stairs slick. By the first landing, Daniel's legs were shaking. By the second turn, his breath was sharp and painful. Then his foot slipped. His shoulder slammed into the wall. Elena gasped. Daniel froze. He lowered her down carefully, his hands trembling. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The only sound was rain tapping against the stairwell window. Daniel stared at the floor. He was trying. For once, he was really trying. And still, it was not enough. The shame came fast, hot, heavy, familiar. Then Elena touched his sleeve. "Daniel," she whispered, "you don't have to do it the hard way." He looked at her. Then he looked across the hall. The laundry room door was half open. Inside, under the weak glow of someone's flashlight, he saw an old rolling laundry cart, a maintenance dolly, 2 moving straps, rubber floor mats stacked against the wall, and suddenly his mind became quiet, not empty, focused. Daniel moved fast. He pulled the laundry cart into the hall and locked 2 of the wheels. He strapped the dolly to one side to make the frame stronger. He folded blankets into a backrest. He tied the moving straps around the metal bars so his mother would not slide forward. Then he laid the rubber mats over the wet steps, one section at a time. A teenager from 6B held a flashlight. An older man from 5A opened the stairwell doors. A woman from 4C brought another blanket and said nothing. No one laughed now. Daniel helped his mother into the cart. He checked the balance once, then twice. Then he took a breath. "We go slow," he said. The first step made the cart jerk forward. Daniel tightened his grip. His arms burned, his jaw locked. But this time, he was not fighting the weight alone. He was changing the problem. One landing at a time, they moved down. Not fast, not gracefully, but safely. And in that dark stairwell, Daniel began to understand something. The part of him everyone had mocked was not useless. It had been waiting for the right reason. When they reached the first floor, Daniel thought the hardest part was over. It wasn't. The lobby was flooded. Water covered the tile from wall to wall. The front doors were shaking from the wind outside. A few neighbors stood near the mailboxes, trapped between the dark stairwell and the rising water. Daniel pushed wet hair out of his face and looked around. Most people saw a dead end. Daniel saw the building. Not the way visitors saw it, the way he knew it. Every broken hinge, every back hallway, every door people forgot existed. 2 months earlier, he had fixed a loose hinge near the boiler room. Behind that door was a narrow service corridor. Behind the corridor was an alley. And at the end of that alley was a side gate facing the street. Daniel grabbed a maintenance bar from the supply closet. The water was cold around his ankles. He forced the boiler room door open. Metal scraped against swollen wood. For one terrible second, it did not move, then it gave. Cold air rushed in. Rain hit his face. And beyond the alley, he saw red emergency lights flashing at the corner. Help was close. They just needed a way out. Daniel went back for his mother first, then the older man from 5A, then the woman from 4C, and the baby upstairs. He moved slowly, guiding people through the service corridor one at a time. The cart wheels rattled over the concrete. Flashlights shook in nervous hands. Rainwater ran under the door behind them. But Daniel kept his voice calm. Left hand on the wall. Step over the pipe. Watch the drop. Keep moving. For once, he was not trying to escape responsibility. He was using every shortcut he had ever learned to carry it. When the paramedics finally reached them, Daniel stepped back into the rain and let go of the cart. His fingers were stiff, his palms were red, his knees felt like they might fold. But his mother was safe. The neighbors were safe. And the building that had always judged him was standing behind him, silent. A paramedic wrapped a blanket around Elena's shoulders. She looked small under it, tired, pale. But alive. Daniel stood a few feet away, soaked from the rain, unable to move. Then Elena turned her head and looked at him. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were clear. "You always knew how to find another way," she said. Daniel looked down at his hands. The same hands people said avoided work. The same hands that built strange little fixes from scraps. The same hands that had just carried his mother without carrying her. Something inside him softened. He had spent years thinking he was broken because he did not work like other people. But maybe he was never broken. Maybe he was disconnected. Maybe he had been waiting for something that mattered enough to wake him up. What people call laziness is not always laziness. Sometimes it is avoidance. Sometimes it is a nervous system trying to stay away from shame. When a person believes effort will only end in failure, the brain starts looking for exits. It delays, it distracts, it says, later. Not because the person has no ability, but because trying feels dangerous. That night, Daniel's mind changed its question. It stopped asking, "How do I get out of this?" and started asking, "How do I get them out?" That one shift turned every shortcut into a solution. It turned avoidance into focus. It turned fear into movement. It turned the part of him people criticized into the part that saved them. In the days after the storm, people in the building spoke about Daniel differently, not loudly, not dramatically, but differently. The older man from 5A nodded when Daniel passed. The woman from 4C left soup outside his door. The teenager from 6B asked him how he had thought of the cart. Daniel did not know how to explain it at first, because he had not become a new person that night. He had become connected to a reason. And maybe that is true for many people. Maybe some people are not lazy. Maybe they are tired, ashamed, afraid to try hard, and still fall short. Maybe they are not missing discipline. Maybe they are missing meaning. So before you call yourself lazy, ask yourself one quiet question. What would make me stand up, even when I am scared? Because when the reason is real enough, the mind stops searching for a way out and starts finding a way through.